contact with a turn 4 wall. We'll have a full report. And for Ellenser Jr., another blown engine. Lynn St. James is still looking to get into the field, perhaps with a new form of power. And yes, even this man needs a credential at Indianapolis. That's all coming up on the Countdown to Indy. And welcome to the Countdown to Indy. I'm Paul Page in our garage area at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The track was closed a little early today because of some rain showers that went through the Indianapolis area at about 5:20 local time. So that shut the track down with 40 minutes yet to practice. But still, there was plenty of activity on the speedway, both in qualified and unqualified cars. One of those not yet qualified belonged to Jeff Wood, and he got into trouble coming off of the 4th turn. We have 2 angles of it. The first, you see, he just lost control a little before the apex, heavy damage to the right side of the car, and he suffered some bruises in the accident. Brushed the wall on the inside, finally just to get the car to a stop, and Jeff Wood climbed out of the car. A low view of the same accident. Fortunately, he was able to get the side of the car up against the wall. Some people haven't been able to do that. So we asked Jeff Wood exactly what happened to you.
Well, this morning we warmed up the car. We had understeer in the car, which we had yesterday and the day before. In turn 1, 2, and 3, and 4, I thought we're going to do one more lap. We've done 3 laps. Going to go for the 4th one just to see the severity of the understeer so we can make a good change. And came through 4, and next thing you know, the back end's coming out. So I think that we maybe lost a tire, or maybe there was some oil laid down the time before that or something. But kind of a surprise going from a big push all of a sudden loose and you're coming around.
The Gallus-Craco organization still having trouble keeping their Chevy power plants in their cars. Ellenser Jr. was the victim today. Once they get this one figured out, look out though. They seem to know what the problem is, but as yet they don't have the exact fix that they need to make sure that these engines will stay inside the cars. Still, both this driver, and by the way, little Al had a hot seat on that one, climbed out pretty quick when he realized it. And then there's this driver, Mario Andretti, at 228.131 miles an hour. Remember, he's already qualified into the field. So is his son, Michael. Michael was practicing at 229.6 miles an hour today. Both of the Newman Haas cars were working on the fuel pickup. The cars carry 40 gallons of fuel, and they want to make sure that they can get every drop out of the car on race day. And then Lynn St. James. Now, she's climbed into Philip Gosch's backup car. What's so special? Well, there it is. It's your Chevrolet engine. Thus far this month, she has been working with the Cosworth power plant. But now, well, everybody looked around and said, you know, if we really want to get Lynn in the field, why don't we give her a better opportunity if possible? And that might be represented by the Chevrolet power plant. So today, they fitted her into the 44T car, and she got some laps. We asked Dick Simon, what now is the game plan?
It looks like Lynn has just been plagued with problems. We've had nothing but turbocharger problems affecting the pop-off valve and other things. And we just went out and blew a clutch, and, you know, it just seems like we're plagued. She can run fast enough in the Cosworth car. She's been 220 already. But with the problems that we're having, I've been around this place a long time, and I don't want to wait till the 11th hour and then try to get everybody's permission. So we went ahead and sought Ford Motors permission because Lynn basically is a spokesman and has been for 12 years with them. And they, in their own fax or their own wire that they'll be giving to the press, have made an announcement to the effect that she has their permission, and they wish her the best of luck in whatever she needs to do to be in the race.
Which car will she try and qualify? We'll find out when they actually roll the car out. John Andretti and his new teammate Didier Tays. We'll be talking to John in a few moments, but the likable Belgium was circling the track at 216.8 miles an hour.
Well, the last few days we had a lot of push on the car, and we tried to figure what's happened, and we just tried to find a problem today, and just we did a chance. I did one lap, and the engine went away, and one more day to get up to speed, and I hope we can be close.
Another driver looking for an opportunity to qualify in the field is Dominic Dobson. He's the driver of this number 68 car. Remember that last year he broke his leg, in fact, very badly in a crash here at the Speedway. But Dominic got up to speed today at 215.8 miles an hour. Some people think that that may be just fast enough to make it into the 500-mile race field. And then continuing to look for a ride, signing autographs, had his driver's suit on, Johnny Rutherford. He was down at Walker Motorsports. Derek Walker, the owner there, has another car available. It's originally was scheduled for Johnny Rutherford, but a sponsorship deal fell through. Then it was mentioned for Willie T. Ribbs. We asked Johnny, what's going on here?
Well, we're just doing another seat in the car just in case things come together and we can get out. You know, we don't want to be caught short, because if somebody comes along and puts this thing together for us, which we anticipate, then we don't want to be caught short and not have time to build this, get comfortable in the car to be able to go out and do a bonsai job, because that's what it's going to take.
And earlier today, too, the final eliminations for the Miller Pit Stop Contest. A lot of money on the line for these crews. This is Bobby Rahall's team, led by Jim Prescott there on the right front tire. And with this run, that put them into the semifinal round to run against Roberto Guerrero's team. Eddie Cheever's team will face Mario Andretti's in the semifinal round. In the infield today, it was the 19th annual Art Pollard Memorial Picnic for the kids at LaRue Carter Hospital. Everybody turns out for this thing in memory of the great Indy driver Art Pollard. When I say everybody, look at those boots. That's not an IndyCar driver. That's the Daytona 500 winner, Davey Allison. Davey, are you interested in driving an IndyCar someday?
Well, we had a day off. Activities are getting ready to kick up down there at Charlotte for the Winston this weekend, and talked to some of the guys over at RJ Reynolds. They said, you want to go to Indy on Thursday? I said, why not? So here we are.
You ever been in an IndyCar? Desire to be in one?
Well, I sat in Michael's a while ago, but if they'd reached for the starter, I'd have bailed out.
Now, we can only label this as high-grade rumor, but that's what racing's built on anyway. There's a lot of talk that they're going to raise the walls for next year up to NASCAR height. We've already seen some IROC cars tested here at the Speedway. There's been a lot of talk. Is NASCAR, the Winston Cup cars, going to come race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? We said, Davey Allison, what about it?
Well, in some ways it'd be pretty neat. This place carries a lot of tradition, and in some ways I'd hate to see the mystique tampered with over the Indy 500. But I think that there's a way to balance it out to where you can run both the Indy 500 and a NASCAR Winston Cup race up here somehow. And it'd be a lot of fun. I know the fans would love it up here.
Remember those weepers that caused so much trouble on the track on Saturday? The water coming up through the track after the rain? Well, last night with lights out, they had the big caulkers out. And they were doing everything they could to help solve that problem here at the Speedway before race day. We asked them, what can you do?
Basically, the track is brick with layers of asphalt over it that's been done during the years. What happens, voids get in below the surface. There becomes voids between the layers of asphalt, the brick. When you have surface cracks, it's kind of like a cave. You got a cave below there with a sinkhole where the cracks let the water get in there. It fills that void up, and then after the rain leaves and the sun comes out, it acts like it wants to suck that water back out of the track. And that's what happens. So we're basically just trying to keep the water from getting in.
Well, hopefully with that all-night session, those weepers are now a thing of the past. Now, there's only one full day of practice before the final 2 days of time trials for the 76th running of the Indianapolis 500. And let's take a look at those men with race cars that still have a chance to make it into this 500-mile race field. The fastest among those is Ted Prappis at 2:21, and both Tony Bentonhouse and Pancho Carter at 2:19. With just 6 positions remaining, there may be quite a battle, and Lynn St. James may figure into it before the weekend is over. We'll be back with more of the Countdown to Indy right after this. Countdown to Indy is brought to you by RCA, changing entertainment again. By LensCrafters, better fit for greater comfort. By Splitfire spark plugs, more power, more mileage, or your money back. And by GTE, the front runner in telecommunications.
If your VCR is a pain to program,
often hear us talk about the legacy of racing, the fact that families participate time and time again. Here's an excellent example. Tony Bentonhausen, son of a great driver here at the Speedway, and of course his whole family's involved in racing. And John Andretti, I just say that name, and there's Andretti's all over the place. What we figure last year, 15% of the starting field was named Andretti for last year's Indy 500. Tony, let's start with you. First of all, you had some problems last week when you were moving up to speed. It looked like you would have been solidly in the field, and then all of a sudden you got in trouble. What happened?
Well, we planned on it. We had both the 16 and 16T cars up to speed. We were getting ready to qualify Saturday, had a problem, then we were going again Sunday, and I lost the seal in the transmission, and it sprayed hot transmission fluid on front of in the right rear tire on the tread, and away the car went. So just no notice. And you hit the wall a ton. I mean, I'm surprised you weren't hurt. Well, we're still a little stiff, a little sore, but you know, I was in a Penske PC20, the same, the sister car to the one that Rick got upside down a couple days before that. So the car held up real well. Unfortunately, the car doesn't exist anymore, but it did its job. So now what do you have to work with? Well, we're working with the Amex Energy and Metals PC20, the sister car. We did get two cars from Penske Racing at the end of last season, and we ran right at 220 today. So we're optimistic that come Saturday morning we're going to get the job done. Is 220, as we look at your run earlier today, is 220 a safe number for this field now? It seems to me that it is. Well, I hope so. You know, there's more and more cars keep coming out of the garages, but eventually we got to run out of guys that can drive them. So you know, it's you know, we're going to go as fast as we can. Maybe we can run 22 tomorrow. We're going to keep trimming the car out and do everything we can, but we've also got to keep in mind that we can't have a problem, get another car damaged, and miss this thing altogether. You're here as kind of an owner-operator and have had the good fortune of having a very loyal sponsor over a number of years. How do you get a deal like that? Well, it's hopefully it's a win-win situation for Amex Incorporated, Amex Energy and Metals. They've been with me since 1989. Started off as a real small sponsorship program, has turned into you know, a major sponsor in the sport, and we're tickled to death. We just want to go out and get some results for them, and you know, that's what we're out to do. It's a competitive business, though, as John sure can attest. For you, winning at Indy is much more important than just a single car race. It's the work of a lifetime for you. Well, I think it is for every race driver out there. You know, you hear a lot about the Bettenhausens and the fact that they've never won it, and boy, they deserve to win it and everything else. And you know, there's a lot of guys that have deserved to win it. You know, Lloyd Ruby's another perfect example. But we're going to keep Gary and I are going to keep plugging away for as many more years as we can if we don't get it done this year. But Gary's probably in better shape this year than I am. John's also in better shape, I might tell you, because he's qualified into the field. But you waved off your first run. What was that all about?
Actually, we ran the AT in the morning and ran 228.9 and only ran about a corner in the other car, and it didn't. We found the balance in the AT, but in the 8 car we just didn't have any time to do that because of all the weather. And so we went to qualify that car, our backup car, and we just had a couple little problems, and little problems become major problems here at the Speedway, and we just didn't run anywhere near like we thought. And then on the last lap I had something go wrong in the car, and which would have been even slower. So we just said, well, we know we can get the other car because I'd run that car well in the 225, 226 range. So we figured, let's just make some adjustments to the qualifying line, and we'll qualify that Pennzoil car. You're also following in a great tradition. Jim Hall, VDS, Franz, and everybody. Is there some pressure to be on a team that has such a winning history? They've all won this race, and I haven't, so including Pennzoil. So yeah, there is a lot of pressure, but there's no more pressure than I put on myself, because I want to win this race for a lot of reasons, and they transcend all the way through the team to personal satisfaction. So you know, you have to kind of block that out, and the minute the engine starts, it's quite easy. But when you come in, you know that you have great support with owners like Jim Hall and Franz Weiss, and you know, like I said before, a great sponsor like Pennzoil. Like I said, you are this whole field is filthy with the name Andretti. Do you guys help one another? I mean, I see you and Michael and everybody talking from time to time. Is there an exchange there that's worthwhile to you? Well, I wouldn't use the word filthy. There's plenty of us out there, and you know, the odds are in our favor. But I see Mike and Jeff and Mario talk a lot, and you know, we're sort of separated in some ways in that.
Does that make it then hard when you all get together and, oh, geez, I can't tell them about this part. We got this great secret.
Yeah, well, I mean, they have their jobs to do, and I have mine, and so there is a lot of that going on. But it's no different than being with any other driver. And when we go, Michael's been a great help to me, you know, throughout my career, and little bits of advice here and there, and my uncle, of course. So, you know, but you know, as you start getting close, and then the advice sort of gets less and less.
Okay, quickly, one number from each of you. What is it going to take for Tony to get in the race? Speed.
Tony first.
What's it going to take?
Oh, I think probably a mid to high 19 is going to be plenty safe, but we want more than that.
Would you go with that?
Absolutely, and I'd even take, I mean, I think that a 17 is going to make the field.
Well, we hope to see you in the field this week. It looks like you're a sure shot into the thing. We'll be back with more as the countdown to Indy continues.
My job is to...
You know, whenever it does rain here at the Speedway, all of us get together and start telling stories of the great races of the past. And the question inevitably comes up, what's your favorite race? Well, I'm now going to show you my favorite Indy 500. As a matter of fact, it was the first one I ever attended, and I didn't want to come to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. When I left the track that day, I knew that Indy cars was all I ever wanted to be around. Tonight's greatest moment is brought to you by GTE, the front runner in telecommunications.
My tires, that was a main thing that you had to do in those days, because you had to run the tires until a cord showed.
I realized that if I continued in this kind of a battle with Rathman, that the tires were not going to go the distance. So I made a decision to back off and let Rathman lead. Well, that was working perfectly, because Rathman got into the lead. I backed off a couple of seconds, and then he slowed down and I slowed down. Now the tire wear is going along just perfect. But I failed to get cooperation from the car that was running third. That was Johnny Thompson.
With the leaders now forced to run even harder, tire wear became even worse. 10 laps to go. Rathman led. Ward took over on lap 194. Then, with 3 laps to go, the right front cord came through the tire on Ward's car, forcing him to slow down, giving Rathman both the lead and his first and only 500 victory.
Man, I was happy. Figured this was finally it. I finally got lucky and won one.
Establishing new records with an average speed of nearly 139 miles an hour and total winnings of $110,000, Jim Rathman outdueled Roger Ward in what was truly one of Indy's greatest moments.
Of course, those race cars were the great Watson Roadsters. Well, these days, I'm going to figure out how to own one of those. Now, when the Indianapolis Motor Speedway was first built, back just beyond the turn of the century, it was way, way out in the country. It's not anymore. It's part of the town of Speedway. What do the people around the Speedway think of 500,000 people coming in every May?
The famed 2.5-mile oval is located in what just might be the most appropriately named town in all of America. Speedway, Indiana is located adjacent to Indianapolis, and during the month of May, its tiny population skyrockets.
For 11 months out of the year, Speedway is a quiet Midwestern town of 13,000. But during the month of May, hundreds of thousands of fans from all over the world descend on the racing capital of the world. Now, you might think that all those people would cause a logistical nightmare for local authorities, but Speedway Police Captain Rick Phillips says hundreds of hours of pre-race planning pay off.
Under the circumstances, we do the best we can, and with the planning that begins back the first of the year with all the agencies involved, by the time it gets around to May, everybody's well versed as to what their assignments will be, and the planning and the organization comes together, and it all goes down very well.
Speedway residents don't seem to mind the visitors. Many of the local homes and businesses are dressed up for the month-long celebration of speed. Don and Betty Yeager moved here 8 years ago, and they love it.
When I first moved in here, it was kind of awesome the first year or so, but I really do enjoy it because you'd be surprised the diverse people that you see.
You can also see perhaps the greatest collection of racing memorabilia and souvenirs right here during the month of May. Specialty vendors offer fans a little bit of everything. Speedway, Indiana, the home of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. For Countdown to Indy, I'm Mike King.
We could design a communications network to actually help them run better. Do you know what they told us?
The RCA projection screen is so big, you'll feel like part of the show when you watch the RCA home theater. It also has Dolby surround sound that's so real.
Stand back, everyone.
You'll forget you're sitting at home.
Let me handle the
changing entertainment again.
Splitfire earned a United States patent. Splitfire doesn't look like any other spark plug. And the patented Splitfire doesn't work like any other spark plug.
5 extra horsepower by merely installing these plugs. Quicker in the quarter mile. A 4.8% gain in mileage.
There's nothing like a Splitfire. You'll get more power and more mileage, or your money back. Get the guaranteed Splitfire advantage at leading automotive stores from coast to coast.
Not that old lawn equipment again.
Last year he nearly jerked me up by the roots.
Wait a minute. All new home light equipment.
I told you he knows a great value when he sees one.
Look, it's a home light blower and a string trimmer.
Yes.
A home light hedge trimmer and chainsaw and a new home light mulching mower.
I love it when he gets environmental.
Just a little off the top, please. Do it right. Do it home light. Enter the Home Light Hot Hoop Sweepstakes. You could win a trip to the 1993 All-Star Game.
At the Peter Lundquist Celebrity Golf Tournament, you can help the Leukemia Society and enjoy a great game of golf.
So join us at Williams Island Country Club on May 15th and pair up with Miami Dolphin stars and other sports celebrities.
Oh!
In the fight against leukemia, it's important never to give up.
For information, please call 937-7444.
Countdown to Indy has been brought to you by RCA, changing entertainment again. By Lens Crafters, better fit for greater comfort. By Splitfire spark plugs, more power, more mileage, or your money back. By Cellular Services of Indiana for all your cellular needs. And by GTE, the front runner in telecommunications. Now, I know that this is a little bit early, but today, Cara, the Championship Auto Racing Auxiliary, released their new Christmas ornament for 1992. This was designed by Johnny Rutherford and is sold to the benefit of the Cara Children's Charities at Methodist Hospital of Indianapolis. Cara does a lot of great work for racing, and if you get a chance, you need an ornament, well, there's the way to get a hold of it. Now, the news and notes from Gasoline Alley as we take a look at the top speeds of the day on our Lens Crafter speed boards. The top speeds being turned in by the Andretti family. They were incredibly quick today. Other news out of Gasoline Alley, Brian Bonner finally has completed all phases of his rookie test and is passed to go up to full speed. Tom Wirtz, crew chief with Newman Haas Racing, dislocated a finger, and he's going to have a very special splint made by Dr. Terry Trammell to help him change tires on race day.
Services for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Jovi Marcello was taken to Methodist Hospital in critical condition with severe head and chest injuries. Resuscitation attempts were not successful, and he was pronounced dead at 4:35 p.m. today.
That announcement was made late this afternoon at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Jovi was the first fatality at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway since Gordon Smiley died on this same date 10 years ago. Now, there are pictures of the accident itself, but out of respect to Jovi's fans, his family, and friends, we will not show them here. Edward Jovi Marcello was the first Filipino to practice and try and qualify for the Indianapolis 500. He hit the wall in the South Chute. The cause of the accident and his injuries are not yet known. Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm Paul Page. This was the final full day of practice before the 2 final days of time trials. The last chance to qualify for the 6 possessions left in the Indianapolis 500-mile race. And there was a lot of action at the track today. Most notably was that of Fabrizio Barbazza. Now remember, he left a car that he had twice wrecked for the Frank Arciero team. Well, today he was helping the crew fashion a new seat for his car, and he intends to drive for Antonio Ferrari, who, by the way, is the same car owner that owned the car that Jovi Marcello was driving. And another driver looking for a ride, brand new suit. Maybe he's found one. They're still looking for money, though, is 3-time Indianapolis 500-mile race champion Johnny Rutherford. He has been practicing in Derek Walker's number 17 car. Now, you'll remember the saga of JR and the team earlier in the month. They thought they had a sponsor. In fact, they thought it so much they brought part of the representatives from that company to the track. They made the announcement of sponsorship, and then nothing happened. The money apparently didn't arrive. So Johnny Rutherford has been out in the now almost blank number 17 car and is trying to work the car up to speed, but he's running out of time.
It's a shame we didn't have more time to deal with it and to be able to get the feeling and get back out there, but that's the way it is. We're gonna put it together and try to get it in the show tomorrow and just get ready to race.
Another car in Derek Walker's stable, remember he started the month only with Scott Goodyear, was this man, Mike Groff. He's been practicing at about 218 miles an hour, and if he can keep it there, that should be plenty of good speed to make it into the 500-mile race field in one of those 6 positions left. Another driver, Johnny Parsons Jr. Remember his father ran here at the Speedway. Back in the garage area taking a look at what will be his new mount. If he gets plenty of time to practice, they worked on the seat a bit today. Always a little bit of adjustment when a new driver comes into the car. So Johnny Parsons, once fitted in the car, should have an opportunity to qualify over the weekend.
Well, you know, you'd like to get as much track time as you could, but it is fortunate the 11 races we have had and all the practice testing we've had. That'll come into play and it'll help us out a great deal. And we'll just have to be patient at the same time, conserve all the time we have.
There are a lot of owners looking for people who can get their cars into the field. One of them is Rocky Moran, who has plenty of IndyCar experience, and he will be driving now in this car, once it has an engine, for Team Menard.
Yeah, I'm the lucky recipient of the raffle around here, I think. It was obviously the Menard car was the best car open, and it was all month, and fortunately I got the nod.
Rocky's a pretty current driver. He's tested a lot for Dan Gurney in the GTP series, and he's been here several times, and I think he'll get up to speed without any problem.
As we look at Dominic Dobson, there was a report late in the day that maybe Rocky Moran thought he was too tall for the car he was testing. Well, Dominic was out in the Burns Racing number 68 trying to move up to speed. He hopes to qualify this weekend as well in one of those positions that are left. And after his practice runs, we asked Dominic, how is that race car?
It feels very good. The Tobacco-Free America car has been running very well. We've only done about 80 laps so far, and I'm very pleased with it. The Burns crew's been just working their tail off to get this all ready so I can go out and run.
And Mark Dismore continued to work today. He's been trying to get as much time as possible in his machine. Remember, he's still recovering from that serious accident suffered in practice here at the Speedway last year. But don't forget, he's already won a Toyota Atlantic race at Long Beach this year, so he is very competitive. But as yet, he's not in the Indy 500 field. So we asked Mark Dismore, Mark, what's it going to take?
I think 218 will get in the race if it's in the 80s tomorrow. If the temperature was in the 70s, I think it's going to take 220, you know, 219 for sure. The thing is if it rains Sunday, and it's hot Saturday, I think you're going to see 17s, 18s make the show. This place is so funny on temperature. I mean, 10 degrees of temperatures here is at least 4 miles an hour.
Another one of the great veterans that traditionally picks up a ride late in the practice at Indianapolis, Pancho Carter. He was out in the 81 car today, circulating the speedway, trying to find speed for that machine so that he too can be a contestant for this weekend's time trials. So the natural question to Pancho is, what kind of progress are you making with this new mount?
Well, we had less laps today than we did yesterday. We went out immediately. He ran just one lap. The car was pushing real bad. Came in, had a transmission problem that over-revved the engine. So we spent, shouldn't say we, the crew spent all day fixing the transmission and replacing the engine in it. And we got out and just got maybe 2 or 3 hard laps, but got right back up into the 219 range in just about the 2nd or 3rd lap. So I feel that tomorrow morning we can work with the car and be in good shape, and should be all ready to put the Himmelgarten Bird 81 entry in the show.
So with all of those drivers still working on speed and several others, it predicts a really great weekend of time trials and some bumping over the weekend. Now, of those cars that are qualified, well, the Chip Ganassi team certainly is qualified. Ari Lyondike and Eddie Cheever, and they were out practicing today. Coincidentally, they ended up on the track together, but it may have given them great opportunity to find out what turbulence is there and what it's like to run in one another's draft. They were cutting laps at 227, 228 miles an hour. So the Ganassi team looks very strong with their Ford engines. And Michael Andretti, now consider this. This is Michael. He's rolling down on Jim Crawford. Ford power, Buick power in Crawford's machine. That's Crawford just ahead. Now remember, this is not a race, nor necessarily do they want to, but take a look at this as they come off the corner. Is this any kind of prediction of what we may see come race day at Indianapolis? As Michael Andretti came to the inside and right along Jim. And by the way, Michael was quickest of the day at 229.3 miles an hour. Our guest from yesterday, Tony Bentonhausen, still not qualified, but boy, he had a wonderful day today. He improved his overall speed substantially. Now remember, he was involved in an accident before qualifying over the weekend, had to move over to another car as a result of it, was fairly depressed with the whole situation, but boy, now they are finally moving back up the speed ladder, an increase of 4 miles an hour at 221 miles an hour.
It's not real comfortable, but, you know, with the unfair Chevy engine that a lot of us have this year, you know, you got to run her flat all the way around because we haven't got the power that the Buick and the Cosworth has, the Ford. So, you know, we just have to run the car to be uncomfortable, and that's the secret to running over 220.
Well, the qualifying at Indianapolis, the 4 days of time trials, can be a rather confusing process from time to time, and for most it tends to get more confusing as time goes on. There are 6 positions left in the field. Once those 6 positions are filled, then they will come along and find the slowest car in the field. Anyone that runs faster than that, they'll pull the slow car out from wherever they qualified and put the one that qualified faster in the last position in the field. And they will continue to do that until the final gun fires off at 6 o'clock on Sunday. Now, there is some threatening weather throughout the weekend. Should be some showers in the area, so that'll make it that much more interesting and that much more tension for the drivers and crews. Of those left to qualify, well, here's the list right now of those who still have combinations and are looking to make it in to the 76th running of the Indianapolis 500. The order, of course, led by 2-time winner Gordon Johncock. As you take a look at these, we'll have more as the countdown to Indy continues.
Countdown to Indy is brought to you by RCA, changing entertainment again. By LensCrafters, better fit for greater comfort. By Splitfire spark plugs, more power, more mileage, or your money back. And by GTE, the front runner in telecommunications.
The RCA home theater has a VHP picture tube which makes it seem like you're really there. And you can connect your Laserdisc, stereo, VCR, or camcorder to it without being a rocket scientist. And with the RCA home theater, you can get rid of your other remotes, too. Because it comes with Master Touch, the universal remote. Another way RCA is changing entertainment again.
My job is to drive this race car fast. At the speeds I travel, I can't afford to wear glasses that slide down my nose. I go to LensCrafters because they have so many ways to make glasses fit better, like silicone nose pads that keep my glasses from slipping, and their exclusive featherweights are the lightest glasses I've ever worn. As a race car driver, my life depends on the choices I make. That's why for a perfect fit, I choose LensCrafters.
Splitfire earned a United States patent. Splitfire doesn't look like any other spark plug. And the patented Splitfire doesn't work like any other spark plug.
5 extra horsepower by merely installing these plugs. Quicker in the quarter mile. A 4.8% gain in mileage.
There's nothing like a Splitfire. You'll get more power and more mileage, or your money back. Get the guaranteed Splitfire advantage at leading automotive stores from coast to coast.
Hey Orlando, get ready for pro football at its best. Its roughest, back-breaking, bone-crushing best, arena football. Friday night, May 29th, watch as the Orlando Predators prey on the defending champion Tampa Bay Storm. Get your tickets in advance by visiting any Ticketmaster location. It's non-stop entertainment and awesome football action the way you want it, indoors at the Orlando Arena. So Friday night, be there for the fun, be there for the thrill, be there for the kill.
So, it's a little unfortunate I'm not working with them now, but I'm with a good team now, and I feel good about that.
Now, when you're talking with somebody like a Derek Walker, where communications and saying, here's what I'm feeling is so important, what really makes a guy like Derek good is the fact that he hears you and knows what it is, isn't it?
Definitely, and he's got that collaboration with Tim Waldrop, the engineer, and, I think in the 90s here, an engineer is just essential, and, the rapport that those two have together is just phenomenal, and just the little bit of time that I've worked with them, it's been great, it's been very little time, and I'm looking forward to getting the race program going here and getting into the race and working a little bit more with them.
When you talk about communications, Lynn St. James, you have had a couple of weeks of communications back and forth with Dick Simon, your team. You've faced some pretty rough decisions. You come in here as really a Ford person. You've shown your loyalty to Ford, but now you're faced with a decision on whether or not you can continue that loyalty, and you've gone to. Can you just kind of rehash a little bit of that for us?
I like the conversation you're having with Mike better. I'm sitting here listening to this, thinking how fascinating. I'm serious. I was thinking about AJ when I ran with him at the 24 Hours of Daytona. He walked up, and he read what the chassis was doing by looking at the tires that had come off the car. And then I was thinking, I'm sorry. I'm not going to really answer your question directly because I will maybe later. But I was also thinking about how lucky I am that Dick Simon Racing is the same. He's a driver. He believes everything a driver says. He gets the crew. The crew believes everything the driver says, and we've had such a great rapport because I've been in 2 cars. I've been spending a lot of time looking at a boost gauge that's been going all over the place, and it got to the point when everybody has worked so hard to solve the problem that it would be so easy to say, it's the driver, they don't know what, she's gone crazy or whatever, and instead they've just really stayed right in there. They've changed every possible thing on the car trying to get it to work, and that is just that whole, to be a part of that for this many days. Nobody's thrown a hammer at anybody. Everybody is still totally dedicated to this effort. And I was just listening to Mike and I was thinking what a great pleasure it is and what a demonstration of teamwork it is.
It's part of what makes it special.
And it is what makes it special. And it's what makes some teams fail and other teams succeed. Because if you break down with that kind of pressure, you get a whole crumbling effect. It just literally falls apart right in front of you. And if you stay together and you solve, you will solve the problem and you will succeed. So it's really phenomenal.
What power plant are you going to succeed with?
I don't know. Dick Simon's the boss, and he's going to tell me. We're still trying to solve the problem with the Cosworth, and I got in the Chevy at the end of the day, and we got back up. We set it up a little differently, a little more to my liking, and we turned the same speeds we turned yesterday, and the track was not quite as good, I don't think. So we're just working both cars right now, and Dick is going to make the decision. And he knows the drama. He knows how to do all this, and it's one thing I'm just not going to worry about. And fortunately, with Ford's permission and Ford's support of me, and I think that's really what it was, they've given me the green light to do whatever I have to do to get in the field and to have a great race and to fulfill a career goal of mine.
Well, with the Chevy, you're a full 4 miles an hour faster. So let's hope that does work out for you. And it's great that the team does take the pressure off. You're talking about communication. I remember remember you and I at Mid-Ohio in identical Ford Mustangs, and you did very much the same for me. I said, I can't understand why I'm not going fast. You said, well, try this and that. And the same thing worked out.
And you listen. See, if we listen, it helps.
Yeah, well, I listened to and realized I had no business being in a race car. Well, listen, we appreciate the time that both of you have spent with us, and we're going to be watching you over the weekend. We wish you the best of luck. Hope to see you take the green flag in the 76th running.
Thank you, Paul.
We'll be back with more of the Countdown to Indy right after this.
My job is to drive this race car fast. At the speeds I travel, I can't afford to wear glasses that slide down my nose. I go to Lens Crafters because they have so many ways to make glasses fit better, like silicone nose pads that keep my glasses from slipping, and their exclusive featherweights are the lightest glasses I've ever worn. As a race car driver, my life depends on the choices I make. That's why for a perfect fit, I choose Lens Crafters.
Tonight we feature one of my favorite Indy heroes, the first three-time winner of an Indianapolis 500. Indy's greatest moments are brought to you by GTE, the front runner in telecommunications.
(1936). Two-time Indy winner Louis Meyer struggled just to make the field. Driving a new car, he qualified on his final attempt. He would start 28th. At the start, Rex Mays stormed into the lead from the pole position. But fuel allotment had been cut to 37.5 gallons for the 500 miles. Careful monitoring of mileage would be the key.
I didn't know I was going to run 10 laps or 200, you know, but it was not a race. We didn't have enough fuel to race and run 500 miles, none of it. 37.5 gallons of gas. We had to average around 14 miles to the gallon. So I just everybody come by, I just hook a ride on the back of them. And I don't think that I ever opened the throttle at any time over 2/3 of the way. So I just made a coasting job out of it.
And as several drivers ran out of gas, Meyer cruised to victory, becoming Indy's first three-time winner. He won in record time. With wins in 1928, 33, and then in 1936, Louis' attempt at an unprecedented fourth 500-mile victory would be unsuccessful. In 1939, Meyer was in the lead at the three-quarter mark. But on the 197th lap, with Meyer now chasing Wilbur Shaw, Louis lost control. Smashing through the fence, he was thrown out onto the track, but walked away from the accident.
I lit on my hands and knees. I don't know how I got there. My shoes were gone. They were still in the car. And I looked down to the turn, and here come a couple cars out of the turn, and it didn't take me long to get off of that track.
Louis Meyer gave up auto racing following the 1939 Indy 500 to become one of the top engine builders of the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
I used to go back to Speedway and almost cry when the boys left the starting line. The first year, I couldn't hardly take it. And, you know, but then pretty soon that wears off, and after when you haven't drove for about 10 years, you look down and say, I wouldn't get one of those things.
More than 50 years ago, Louis Meyer became Indianapolis' first three-time winner and provided Indy fans with another of their greatest moments.
Has been brought to you by RCA, changing entertainment again. By Lens Crafters, better fit for greater comfort. By Split-Fire spark plugs, more power, more mileage, or your money back. By Cellular Services of Indiana for all your cellular needs. And by GTE, the front runner in telecommunications.
Racing is a dangerous sport. It is not a game. Jovi Marcello knew that. As a matter of fact, everyone who participates in the sport of motor racing is reminded of the fact of its danger every day in very subtle ways. The zipping shut of a fireproof suit, the wearing of a helmet, the snapping closed of a seatbelt. Jovi Marcello, like all great champions, knew and recognized the dangers. In his 27 years, he lived with the possibility every day, not only in his own life, but in his father's motorcycle racing. Jovi was a champion, and as all great champions, he accepted the biggest challenges. He knew and loved this sport. His bright smile was evidence of the joy it brought him. Jovi left this world in a labor of love. Racing took his life.
Masterminds have pooled their efforts in pursuit of 500.